Greetings, it's naturopath Eric Backer from New Zealand, author of Candida Crusher and formulator of the Candida range of Candida dietary supplements. Thanks for tuning into my video today. Today I'm going to talk about the importance of test and measure, of why it's very important for you to understand, you need to really test and measure your treatment. Lots of patients I've seen have spent thousands of dollars on treatments. They've seen dozens of doctors. They've done every test you can imagine, this test and that test, and they've done stool tests and blood tests and urine tests and saliva tests and any kind of test you can imagine. Many patients I see now in America and Europe and many countries around the world, they'll email me, 10, 20, 30 tests. I spend a fortune on these tests, and they take boxes of dietary supplements. Sometimes from one doctor, sometimes from 5, sometimes from 10 practitioners. They'll take all these pills and potions and capsules and herbs and goodness knows what. And then they'll buy from different websites, And it's really like investing in the stock market when you don't know what you're doing. Okay, basically a lot of people haven't got a clue what they're doing because they're not measuring the response of the investment. So if you've got a business, I'm sure a lot of you watching this video now will have a business of some kind where you have your profit and loss sheets, your balance sheets, so money going in, money coming out, It doesn't matter how much money you earn. It's really the bottom line is how much profit are you making, okay? Now it's the same with you with a bad yeast infection. It doesn't necessarily, for not all people, mind how much they spend on the treatment, but they want to get some kind of measurable, verifiable result from their investment. You'd have to be a fool to keep throwing money at a condition and not really get or expect any kind of a favorable outcome within a predetermined period of time. So this is how I measure it with patients. In my book Candida Crusher, I've got a Candida symptom tracker. Now, I've got a blank piece of paper here. You can see all the lines on that piece of paper. Now, this could easily be an Excel spreadsheet or any other kind of a program you're using on your computer. What I want you to do, if you've got a bad yeast infection, but this can also hold true if you've got any kind of health problem for a long period of time, is I want you to write down the symptoms, okay, down on the right side of the spreadsheet. You're going to write down symptoms here, okay? So you're going to write stuff down like, the symptoms that you've got, like things like gas, bloating, sleeping problems, headaches, urinary infections, whatever problems you've got, you just write everything down, okay? All one under each other, just write a whole column of all the problems that you've got. When you've done that, I want you to write next to, draw another column, to the right of that with just a small narrow column, and then we're going to grade each symptom. Now there's two ways of grading. You can grade 1, 2 or 3, or you can grade 1 to 10. 1 to 10 is going to give you more accurate reflection, especially long term. So 1 meaning like it's not so much of a problem, 0 means it's no problem, 10 means it's like really bad, you have to get rid of this problem. So anywhere between, you can write those numbers down, on that column. So gas, for example, could be a 5. Or it could be 6, or it could be like really bad. You might want to put a 9 there, or if 10 if it's like the worst possible symptom you've got to get rid of. Or you could grade them 1 to 3, mild, moderate, severe. So gas could be like mild, it's a 1, moderate 2, severe 3, and you work down that whole column and you just keep putting all the numbers down, and then you put the date on top. Today, for example, is the 7th of May 2015. So you put 5/7/15 if you're in America, or in New Zealand you put 7/5/15, okay? So that's that little column with all the numbers. And then you have a column next to it which will be 4 weeks later, and a column next to that which will be 4 weeks later. So what we're doing is we're measuring the severity index of how you feel over a prolonged period of time. Now if you're quite smart, you don't have to be smart, I'm not particularly smart, you can actually work out on Excel spreadsheet, you can create a formula or a calculation, and convert this to a graph. This is very clever, okay? Now here's what I want you to do. You've written, say, 15 problems down, right? And then you've worked out of that whole column, you've worked out what your top scores are. And you can actually sort that. If you click on Excel, you can actually get the highest numbers up top and the lowest down the bottom. So now you've worked out, you've got 3 or 4 symptoms that are 8 or 9 grade. So that's the real core of stuff that you really want to get rid of, okay? So What you can do now is you can track those 3 or 4 actually individually. You can take those off, put them on another graph, and just actually make graphs out of each of those symptoms. Or you could just do the total score, calculate it all down the bottom, and do a graph based on the totality of symptoms. Are you still with me? So it's not that hard to do, all right? Now, there's reasons why I want you to do this. I want to know over a period of 4 to 6 months, are you getting bang for your buck? Now, if you're going to use my protocol, my Candida Crusher protocol and my Candida dietary supplements, you're going to get a result. I've got no doubt. If you're going to follow this protocol carefully, you will get a measurable, verifiable result. I guarantee you will get that. I've had this with many, many thousands of patients now. So I really want you to do the graph. It's not difficult to do. Probably the first time you've really heard this kind of information, because most practitioners never work with graphs or charts or testing or measuring the response. If you don't do this, it's crazy, especially long term, because you could be pouring money down the drain with consultations and dietary supplements and getting nowhere. So if what I'm saying is correct and you are going to improve, you will actually see that you're improving over time, okay, because your score will go down. So instead of having a high amount of numbers, you're going to have a lower amount of numbers. And on the chart, you can actually see that, okay? Actually see that improving. So you started off with a high amount here, and you're going down, down, down. Doesn't mean you're going down the gurgler or downhill. It means that you're improving, okay? And that means that you're investing money wisely towards your recovery. And it also means that you're on the right track. You're doing the right kind of things. And you can actually take it one step further. And along that graph, put when it dates on the other side of the graph, you can put when particular treatments came in. So now you can actually measure how bad things were. Are they getting better or worse? And at one point, did they change? Because you'll be able to see what product you put in there or what treatment you did. Now that's intelligence. And when you start working like that, that's when you're going to get good Candida recovery. And that's what my book is all about, the Candida Crusher. It's to allow you to recover from this condition and not waste your money or pour it down the drain. Thanks for tuning in.